Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Talkin Kop. It's Sunday night, and once again, it's me and Keith. We have not killed Shawnee and Emmett and buried them in a back garden. They just aren't available for differing reasons. Them reasons, none of your business. It is Sunday night. Liverpool have gone out of the FA Cup, 1-0 defeat at home park to Plymouth Argyle. We're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about the week that's coming up for Liverpool. And I suppose off the back of what's happened today, what we're looking at for the rest of the season. Keith, I'm going to be honest with you. I want to start by giving Plymouth Argyle a hell of a lot of credit for today. We're going to get into Liverpool in a bit, but I don't want what we're going to say about Liverpool to dilute Plymouth's achievements today. I thought fair play to them. They came out. They had a game plan. They didn't try to be above themselves and, we can play around this team and nothing like that. They got in, they hit it long, they got second balls, they got the ball in the box. They done all that sort of stuff that you should do against bigger sides, and they weren't afraid to do it for the vast majority of the game. So before we get into Liverpool and we hammer a few people to differing levels, fair play to Plymouth. They came out. You can only beat what's in front of you. We always say that as Liverpool fans, and Plymouth beat what was in front of them today.
Absolutely, and you're right to give praise to Plymouth, because when you lose a game, it's easy to be reactive and, throw the baby out with the bathwater and just absolutely hammer Liverpool. And I always found it, even when we'd win games and you'd hear on Sky Sports and all, oh, it's because your team are so bad. Plymouth went out there today and they're the bottom of the championship, and they played a team at the top of the Premier League and one of the most informed teams in the world. And they had a plan, and they went out and they executed that plan. And fair play to them, because when I was watching the game, they were fighting, they were winning every second ball. They took advantage of, I wouldn't even say sloppiness in their team, it was, but they just went and they executed their game plan. They knew what they could target. We had to change it around early on, and I think that disrupted us. But I think Plymouth still stuck to their it's not like they won it right. They win 1-0 by way of a penalty, but they had chances in the game, and they took the fight to Liverpool, and Liverpool were second best almost in every area of the field. I think, in my estimation, 2 Liverpool players come out with this with any sort of semblance of credit, and that is it. And that's probably generous. One definitely, and one maybe. And that's damning on Liverpool, but it doesn't take away from what Plymouth done, because Plymouth made them play bad. We've seen that Liverpool fringe sides go out and play well in games. Yes, this was a fringe side, but there was a lot of senior pros in this team, and Plymouth went out and beat them. So fair play to them.
Yeah, and like Plymouth. I don't think Plymouth, seeing Liverpool's lineup and squad, would have thought, oh, you know what, we're gonna beat these, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that. I think, and this is only my estimation, just looking at the game. No matter who Liverpool put out, Plymouth were in the same frame of mind. Don't get me wrong. If Liverpool had showed up with all the lads, Plymouth would have went here. The sort of way, and Liverpool would have kept the ball for 95% of the game and won 2 or 3. But and Plymouth were probably expecting a weakened side, but they would have known it was a big task. And even as weakened as that was, they still would have seen it as a huge task. So they stuck to their guns. They didn't let any kind of complacency come into their approach throughout the game. I thought they defended really well. Look, their midfield didn't get an awful lot of luck in the game. It was kind of one end of the pitch or the other, but they done so much work, their midfielders, and covering gaps and getting across to help fullbacks and different things like that. And I wanted to start the show by giving them the credit, because they deserve it, and they're in the fourth.
I think
round,
they were excellent.
Fifth
Yeah.
round of the FA Cup. They're the fifth
excellent.
round, and with a bit of luck, they get another good home tie, or they get for the telly, or they get a good away one. Davies in the chat there, he's a Newcastle fan, maybe a Newcastle away, nice little few quid for Plymouth. I'm not too sure how much Plymouth need it being in the championship, but
I don't know who still left. I know Liverpool are gone. City are still there, didn't they? They won yesterday.
Yeah, Chelsea are gone, Everton are gone.
Chelsea are gone. Like, if, let's for example say they got a home tie against Manchester United, if they played like that, they could beat Manchester United. So
Yeah.
I know it's unlikely. You know, we should have beat them in all honesty today. United would play a strong team against them, but they could look at a huge toy that could go their way and they could get a result out of that. So fair play to them. They were good all over the pitch, Gav. You're right. Their defence, I thought, were excellent. Right, they were
I
very
thought that
good.
midfield, without having loads of the ball,
And
done so much work getting to Chiesa and getting to Diaz and making sure that fullbacks weren't exposed. I thought they were excellent at that.
are you reading my agenda? Because that was my point I was getting
Was
to. I
it?
think that
Sorry.
midfield. No, you're right. That midfield did do a lot. As you say, they didn't do a lot with the ball as such, but they done a lot of off the ball stuff. And one thing I always say to my son when he's playing football, and when I was coaching kids, and he's only 11, like, because they're under 11s. If you can't be good with the ball, be good without the ball and put the effort in. There's no excuse. The players can be better than you, but there's not really any excuse for you not trying. And Plymouth went out and they worked harder than Liverpool. And Liverpool went out there and some of their players did not try a job. And it showed at the end of it. They coasted it. But Plymouth, fair play to them, done the business and deservedly went through and got a penalty that was a penalty. They, we're not going to be cry-arsing about no VAR or anything.
No, if your
like
hand's
that.
outside the silhouette.
Hands in the air and the ball hit your hand.
Yeah.
People can say it's close. They've made up the rules. They've diluted that handball rule so much you don't know what's what. But for me, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, that is a penalty kick all day long. So I won't hear us moaning about that.
No, it's 100% a penalty, and when it's given, I'm kind of looking at going, I don't even know where to check this. Look, there's no blame on Harvey Elliott when it comes to the penalty. It's a natural thing he's doing. He's going for the ball. You can't really go up for the ball the way he is without lifting your arms. Yeah. But look, it's just unfortunate. The guy flicks it. Harvey Elliott's hands are above his head, or high and to the side of his head. Anyway, and it hits him. It's a penalty. It's not like it's not like one where you go, look, his hands are down by his side and stuff like that. It's just the way the situation went, and it is a penalty. So let's not. I don't think anyone here is going to, even in the chat, is going to try to tell you it wasn't. It absolutely was a penalty. On Liverpool, though, we done a preview show and I had a way stronger team picked, right? If I remember rightly, I thought my team was going to be, I think it was Kelleher, Bradley, Quansah, Van Dijk, Tsimikas. I think I had Endo, Elliott and McConnell in midfield. And then I had Chiesa, Jota, Diaz. That's what I kind of had, right?
So close to
I wasn't too bad, but there was a couple in there where I went, oh, fucking hell, right, they're not playing. But I'm going to be honest with you, Keith. I seen a report this morning, I think it was, and it was like, this player, like the full list of players that hadn't even travelled, right? And straight away I went, he's not arsed about this.
Yeah.
He's going to roll a dice here. He might get away with it. If he doesn't, he can't have too many complaints. Now, I know people are going to say to me, yeah, but we had this and we had this and we had this. I understand that. But he's literally, the priorities came shining through, whether it was last night or this morning when I seen the report. And I went, yeah, he's left everyone that's going to play at Everton at home, more or less. And the couple of the lads that'll play today will be on the bench for Everton. And you should probably win the game, let's be honest, with the team you put out. But if it goes wrong, the manager can't really turn around and be fuming over it. How do I put it? He's probably not too upset to go out of the cup, but probably upset with the performance that certain players put in.
I think that's very fair. Right? Yeah, I think that's very fair. And you're right in everything you say. When you see the squad that they bring or that they don't bring, and that's very telling. I still think, Slot thought we could go and win at Plymouth with the lads that are there, because as you went through your team there, and it wasn't that far off, it was really only you are Bradley and
Bradley Van Dijk.
Yeah, he goes a bit less than that, and other than that, you're predicting everything else. So a lot of people would have probably, but looking at it, Gav, you would have looked at that and thought that should be enough. Like Diaz, Chiesa, and Jota up front should have been enough. Harvey Elliott has been chomping at the bit, and we've been championing him for a few years now about, he needs to get starts because he's done well. He's impacted games from the bench, he's done well. This could be his chance in the midfield at the start with Endo and Noyoni, and he doesn't take that opportunity, So there was players there that that you look at and you think there was a chance for you didn't take it, and it'll be very interesting to see if there's any ramifications and repercussions for the rest of the season for some of them. You don't make a snap judgment on one game, but as I keep going back to, if you look like you're not trying, it's very telling, and it's pretty damning, and it'd be interesting to see Slot's reaction to that.
But right, so look, Sam says, to be honest, it was more of a 0-0 game. Only a penalty decided it. Only a pen decided the end of the game, but that's where his cup games are fine margins. Sometimes you need a bit of luck. And there was a comment there that I wanted to read out. Hey, Vino says, what's the point of making assessments on players after that result? It's pointless. Slot obviously didn't give a shit with the team and bench he picked. I want to get on to individuals in a few minutes. But Keith, I was watching that game and Aaron Slot didn't seem bothered by anything that was going on.
No, he didn't.
Like, don't get me wrong. If first 20 minutes, nothing really happens in the game. There's not a lot going on. Gomez gets injured. Naomi gets a yellow card. Gomez gets injured.
I think the Gomez injury is absolutely fucking key to the tone that it sets. Because the reason I'm going to jump in on that and say, I think Naomi has a terrible game and it's not fair on the young lad. I think if he'd had Endo in there beside him, he may have had a bit more protection. But Gomez going off and Endo having to go back puts McConnell in there, and it's a very inexperienced midfield duo. And I don't mean he had a terrible game. I just meant he couldn't, he's only, 17, 18? Like, he's only a young fella.
He's only a kid, yeah.
He's only a young fella. And if you're playing a championship team, whether they're bottom of the league or not, that means they can be scrappy and, they can be tough teams. He couldn't get on the ball and influence it. So I felt sorry for Naomi that he didn't have a senior partner there. And that's where Harvey Elliott probably needed to step up a little bit more. But the Gomez injury, the lad who comes on, my boy, awful time.
Yeah,
fucking awful time that poor lad has. And we just couldn't get going. The thing about my boy when he came on for me was he kept looking back. And when we look at Trent Alexander-Arnold's been our right back for the last whatever number of years, and he's, passing. We know the range. When Conor Bradley came into the team, he was a breath of fresh air. He was a marauding right back, and everything was forward thinking. That young lad today, everything went back. Everything went inside.
I understand that, but
that slows you, kills your rhythm.
But when you get there, when we talk about a couple of individuals later, I don't think the defenders were very much helped out with anything ahead of them.
No, that's what I mean. Like, it was.
But you see, this the thing. Like, people are saying, the reaction to this from the fan base is madness, and it's players sell players after this, and we'll get on to individuals in a bit. But he picks that team, Keith, and then he picks Nunez, Jones, who I don't think he'd any intention of bringing on. Yeah. Nunez, Jones, and a load of kids on the bench. Yeah. And that was more damning than the starting 11. If he'd have picked the starting 11 that was going out there today, and you said, right, I'm picking Van Dijk, Gravenberch, load the bench for a load of lads, make them travel, and then you can throw if you want, if you need them. But he's no intention, Keith. He brings that young lad on and then brings him back off.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? He could have put Jones on into the midfield, Sparks in midfield. No. I'll bring on Colin Doherty.
Doherty, yeah. And no shape. There was no shape to it.
No, there was no shape to it. And, people didn't cover themselves in glory. But Slot is standing there going, yeah, you just come on, you just come off. And I thought from the first, I said nothing happened in the first 20 minutes. But literally me watching the first 10 minutes of that game, I was like, these aren't bothered lads. They were half pulling out of tackles. And listen, we know Liverpool players, they're not afraid to go in. They're not afraid to go in hard. They're not afraid to be tenacious when they need to be, chase teams down, be physical. We know that. We've seen these players do it. Diaz loves a bleeding tackle and a bump off someone. Elliott's not afraid to put his foot in.
Jota as well.
Jota loves the scrappy stuff. But you could see there was a hesitancy in them from the very start. And I wonder, did that come from the manager? Did it come from the manager? Did the manager send them in there and look lads, we want to win this game, but I want to come out of this at most, at the very least, with no injuries. Now he ends up with an injury, unfortunate for the Gomez. But I don't want anyone getting a silly injury or hurting themselves, because that's what it felt like, Keith. Genuinely, after 10 minutes, that's what it felt like. I went, he'd usually be pressing onto that. He'd usually be snapping into that. He'd usually be making that run. He'd usually be driving at a fullback. And if they weren't doing it, I was waiting for the manager to be on the sideline going, here, what are you doing? Come on. And when you went over the sideline, Aaron Slot stand there, he's only short of fucking lighting up a smoke.
Yeah. And it was telling, like, you'd expect he'd put a rocket up to my half time, but it didn't look like there was any rockets put up anybody. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was very much, I agree with you. It had sort of pre-season vibes about it. It was get out there and play and let's see what you can do. Look, Arnie Slot is learning as he goes.
I'm not sure this is a learning thing, Keith.
No, but I just mean, I don't know, in Holland, in Dutch competitions, you know, if you draw a lower league team, you know, you get that sort of partisan atmosphere and the shites around in it, you know, all the giant killing and all this, or is it more routine? I don't know. But look, we didn't look like we were not obviously you want to win every game, and the professional players and the young players want to win every game, the fringe players want to win every game, because there's a lot to play for, because that's where they will get their, you know, their minutes, essentially. If you get through there, you get another game in the cup, you might get another run out, you know. So it's not that they went out and didn't want to win, but it just lacked any intensity and it lacked any urgency to maybe change. I mean, we look at the start.
Would you not have expected, right? Yeah, I know what you, and I fully agree with you. You know, it lacked intensity, urgency, crispness of the crispness of the pass. You know, how quick the pass were, how far and pass into each other. And look, people are saying about the pitch and all that. I'm not having that. It's a pitch. It's flat. Play on, you know.
But it was very fucking springy in fairness.
Yeah, springy and bouncy, but it's springy and bouncy for both teams at the end of the day, right? But would you know? I would have expected. I think McConnell done okay in the game.
Yeah, I think McConnell done okay.
But I would have expected Nyoni. I think I ended up done okay as well. Let's be fair.
At that end, that was far and away the best player.
Yeah,
far and away the best player.
Yeah, but like I would have expected Nyoni, Simicast, all the lads really, you know, to go right. We're not going to play Wednesday, but we want to put ourselves in the mind of the manager and expect them for themselves to go out and do that. But it was literally like a collective, Keith, where they went, listen, we're playing this at a certain pace. We're basically going to tell you how hard you're going to run in this, and you're going to fucking stick to it. And that's what it felt like.
Yeah.
You know, like Ashley says there, or she has a quote from Slot that says, there was enough quality on the pitch to get a better result in this. Yes, I agree. But Arne Slot can't really turn around and go, well, I'm this and I'm that. When you look at the bench he picks, he's clearly not, like, managers go through these things where they think of every possibility in games. If we go behind, if we go ahead, if it's tight, if it's a draw with 10 to go, what do I do? He left himself very little options for any scenario, really. Do you know the sort of way? And that just comes across as a manager that is, let's be honest, he's prioritised as the fourth most important competition of the season.
Yeah.
And it is the fourth most important competition of the season.
Absolutely.
Unless you're out of the FA, unless you're out of the League Cup.
Yeah. And I mean, I agree with you, by the way, and people will be like, oh, you're saying that because they were beaten. I think the League Cup can set you up for a positive season. Some teams fall away after, but if you're looking to be a winning team, you win the League Cup and you can sort of go on from there. The FA Cup has lost its lustre over the last few years. Giant killings like today, it's not really a giant killing because Liverpool didn't really treat it as an important game for them. I think the lineup was the lineup, but I think the substitutions were very I mean, so my boy comes on for Gomez, right? So fair enough, he's defender for the defender. But then we're putting on Nunes comes in for who was he? He comes in for my boy, does he? Does he come in for my boy? He goes back off, and Count Doherty comes on for Nyoni or something like that. So we end up with the three forwards we start with. We put on Darwin. We have Elliott in there, who's an attacking thinking player, and there was just no shape to it. Even the subs, like it was a mad game. Do you know what I mean? It was a mad game. It was like, get this out of the way. As you said, no injuries. Let's get this out of the way and let's see where are we for Wednesday night. But I agree. Players, what I felt a bit disgusted was players did not put themselves in his thoughts to play on Wednesday, and they can't moan about it now. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's your opportunity and you don't take it.
Yeah. Barney says, stop making excuses for them. Elliott, Kwanzaa and Chiesa were awful. Don't give them a free pass. I don't think we've given anyone a free pass.
Who's making excuses? Literally,
we haven't even started on the players yet. So
I don't know.
all I'm trying to say is, and you can agree or disagree with me. You know what I mean? I've no problem with it. All I'm saying is the lineup he picks, the bench he picks, the way they went out and started the game and literally continued on for 80 odd minutes was, and then a manager on the side that was like, looked cool as that. It looked like whatever will be. Just go out and we'll do it, you know. And he probably expected them to win, but that's where the priorities is, because let's be honest. Our next 5 games are league games, and they are Everton away, Wolves at home, Villa away, City away, Newcastle at home. 5 huge games, and if Liverpool have to sacrifice this, for going out there and taking 13 to 15 points out of them 5. You won't be thinking about Plymouth Argyle if they go and do that. Liverpool go and win the next 5 league games. You won't even give Plymouth a second thought. And I think, like managers before him, it's not a new thing. You know, like people saying, big slip, forced slip from Arne Slot in English football. Do you think Klopp didn't do this? Years into his Liverpool career? Do you think Rafa Benitez didn't do this? Years into his Liverpool career? You know, they all done it. Brendan Rodgers, I'm sure, done. I can't remember Brendan Rodgers. He definitely done it. Well, he had Day and Lovren shooting from 45 yards at Wembley, so against Villa. But that's just what it came across as. And I don't think Arne Slot can have too. Well, he can complain, but the setup was what will be. There you go. Some individuals though. You know, we talk about them and we're saying, you know, like if you look at Everton on Wednesday night, you're gonna start Alisson in goal. I don't know if Trent's fit, but Trent or Bradley right back. You'll have Robertson left back. You'll have Van Dijk and Konate. You'll have Gravenberch, McAllister, Szoboszlai. You'll have Salah. You'll have Gakpo, and I'm not too sure what he's gonna do up front. I would suggest it's probably going to be Núñez, considering he got less minutes there today than Jota. But then again, Jota probably needs the minutes and feels okay to go Wednesday, so he's going to have to pick something there. But outside of that, you have players in this team, you know, that should have probably looked on today as, I want to get into his reckoning. Or if I'm not getting into his first 11 on Wednesday, I want to be the first man off the bench. I want to be in good form to be forced off the bench. And nobody showed it today, Keith. Like if we go from the back, Kelleher doesn't do anything wrong, right?
Kelleher, he's all right, yeah. He had a shot on target, so you know.
Kwanzaa looked all over the place.
Yeah, he's a problem at the moment. That young lad.
He looks. What do you think is his main problem? And I'll tell you what I think it is. And I don't mean like, is it lack of confidence?
Yeah,
it's physically what he's doing on the pitch. What do you think is his main problem?
Physically,
yeah.
See, I think the confidence is a killer with him. I don't know if it's a lack of confidence or overconfidence, but I don't think he plays good balls. I don't think he's progressive enough. I think he just gets rid of the ball all the time, and he puts others under pressure. Do you know what I mean? So, to me, he's just not really giving us a base to build off. So, what do you think his problem is?
I don't think he's decisive enough in anything he does anymore.
No, and that's a mentality thing. Do you know what I mean? You'd ask me for a physical thing, you fuck, and you give us decisiveness.
No, what I mean is, right, well, let me put it into a physical sense for you. What I mean, right, he was backpedaling on a header in the second half today.
Yeah.
And he looked like a bloke trying to walk down the road in a gale force wind.
Yeah.
Right?
It's a huge issue with him.
If you look at Kwanzaa in pre-season when Van Dijk hadn't showed up yet, Konate only came back the second or third game in, due to an injury he had. Kwanzaa was the centre half. He was playing Van den Berg, right? Seth Van den Berg. Right, yeah. And he was heading everything. He was up the back of people. He was physical. When he got the ball, he strode out with it. He passed into midfield. You know, good pace. He was covering. He was cutting stuff out across the box. One in particular against Arsenal, which was excellent in pre-season. You went, and I had so big high hopes from this season.
He
I
starts in the
genuinely
team
thought,
against Ipswich.
off the back of the pre-season, because of circumstance, Konate's been out. It might take him a little bit to get back in here. It's a new manager. Quansah goes out. Keep doing what you're doing in pre-season, and it'll be very hard to leave you out of the team. But I watched him backpedal for a header today, and I went, where is he going? It was like, do you know what it was like? Do you know if you kick a really light football in the air?
Yeah,
and it's coming down, and it's all over the place, and you ask your 4-year-old to try catch it, and they having a fucking breeze where they're going. That's what he looked like. And then the amount of times he got the ball, and he had a fullback outside him, he had a midfielder in front of him, and there was a gap, and he wouldn't go into the gap and play.
No.
He came across the pitch more often than not, and then delayed, giving it to Endo to the point where their forward was nearly beside him. There's no decisiveness in what he's doing, whether it's heading it, marking somebody, dealing with balls, all sorts of stuff. He tried to run one out second half then. They had no one up the pitch, and he tried to run one down the left wing. They got a throw out of it. I just thought he was awful, and I think it's extremely worrying with regards to him.
It is extremely worrying. I mean, last year... Sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go on. I think it's...
Last year we sort of were championing him when he came out, and we said it on here. He saved the club's millions. He looks like he's ready to be part of a group of centre backs that, the rumour was that they rejected Newcastle looking for him when they went for Anthony Gordon and all that. And now it's just, he doesn't look like he has a future in the Premier League at this moment in time. Now, Oisin McGlinchey makes a great point, and it's something I said to someone earlier on, that maybe Quansah might need a loan because he's just not performing like he did last season. Time away could be helpful, playing week in and week out. And I agree with that. And I think if you go somewhere, you make your mistakes on someone else's watch and you earn them out, and you earn that indecision out. But who's going to take him on loan? Do you know what I mean? He's not going to get a high-end Premier League loan.
I'm not a fan of the loan thing. Right.
No, but I think if you want to keep him, if your plan is to keep him, I think you need to give him minutes of. You see him as
I get that, but you see, I'd rather. Yeah, but like Vinos is there. The knives are out for poor Quansah. Will you get a grip, lads? The knives aren't out for Quansah.
No.
Well, we've watched a game of football today, and he was fucking terrible in it.
Yeah, he was.
And the same way, if he went out and played on Wednesday and he was amazing against Everton, I'd say going, Quansah was fucking excellent. But I'm telling you, in my opinion, from what I've watched on Quansah this season, confidence may be a thing, but he stopped being decisive in what he's doing. When we watched Quansah last season, we thought, what a player we have in our hands here.
Strolled in, compared him to Matip and all.
He was strong, he was quick, he wasn't afraid to fizz a ball into midfield. He loved the foot race with players. When it went up in the air, he got up and he headed it well. And he's not doing any of them things, It's not knives are out for him. But I can't sit here and say to you, poor Quansah. Quansah's in there today playing a game of football as the fourth centre-half at Liverpool Football Club. Right? And possibly the third, to be fair, because of Gomez's injuries. And that's what his performance he's put in. And it's not an isolated incident this season. Now, don't get me wrong. I said it during the week, it's a massive learning curve season for him. That's what it's become.
A tough learning curve as well.
I'm not, like, Owen says I don't think he was that bad. I thought he was. I thought he was awful. Listen, Endo's not going to stroll out of the fence for you. He's just not going to. But he'll chase a guy. He'll be the one to mark the guy. All the opportunity was put on Jarell Quansah today to be the ball playing centre half, the one to, make Liverpool play, get Liverpool playing to a level. And I'm not saying just him, but I want to say the quality of ball from the back was down to Jarell Quansah today. And I've seen it from him previously. Because Endo basically said, see that fellow up front, I'll look after him. I'll give you the ball and you go and play. And he didn't do it. And if I sat here now and said, Quansah was okay, you said, I'll be ripping me fucking head off going, are you joking me? He was terrible. And he was. And I'm not... that's not writing him off. That's not writing him off and saying, he can't... I'm not a fan of the loan. What I would do is, though, if I'm going to get Jarell Quansah into this side, right, or get his confidence back, you're not going to be doing it in FA Cup games because we're out. You're not going to do it in a League Cup final unless of injury, and you're not going to do it really in the league unless injury. But if we're winning 3-0 in any game, I want the centre-half taken off and I want him on. That's what I think you do.
Yeah,
that's what you have to do.
And in fairness to him, I think he's been okay in the last few appearances he's had. I think he's looked a little bit more assured. And if you look at his stats today, because I agree with you, Gav, I thought he was very shaky. 91% passing accuracy, didn't give the ball away. He won 2 out of 5 ground duels and 4 out of 6 aerial duels. He lost possession 13 times. It felt like more, but there's just something about him that I agree with you, that sort of lack of assuredness with him, that decisiveness that isn't there, that was there. And the reason I think he could benefit with a loan is if Liverpool see him full long term as an option at centre back, we need to buy another centre back in the summer, and we need to buy a centre back that knocks him down the pecking order as well. Do you know what I mean? So it's no good buying someone that goes in behind Kwanzaa. We need to buy someone that's, Virgil van Dijk's heir apparent, let's say. So, it's a really tough one. As you said, I agree, by the way, throw players on as youngsters or centre backs or whatever. If you're hammering the team, throw a player on and give him them minutes and let him ease his way in. Man City, for example, he comes on at right back and does very well. Brilliant, actually, when he comes in at right back in that game. Starts at right back. The next game against Newcastle has an absolute stinker. He's going to make mistakes. He's a young lad, 22, young for a centre back. He only broke through last year. It was a surprise when he broke through, so it shouldn't really be a surprise if there's a regression this year. But I just don't know how you fix it, because I think he needs games. Do you know what I mean? I think he needs games. And if I'm not going to throw him on for half an hour here and there, I don't know where he gets the games.
Well, that's the only way I do it. I always like him. If you see a player and you think he has the ability, and look, we don't know what Slough absolutely feels him, because, we probably know more if he had all the centre-halves free in pre-season what he would have done. But, he was kind of forced on the chopping block at half-time at Ipswich, and he hasn't kind of recovered from that. But we don't know what he thinks of him. If he thinks that he's possibly a future Liverpool centre-back, I would go down the route what we done with Kelleher. Don't loan him, put him in with the best and make him keep learning from the best. But my worry there is that he is training with the best. You keep saying it. It's the best centre-half partnership in world football, probably.
Absolutely.
And he is learning from the best. It's just, and confidence, look, I'm not saying confidence is not an issue. But be decisive, be physical. You know what I mean? And I don't even see him being that. You know what I mean? So, look, we'll see how it goes.
Just to be clear, and I think we'd all love to see him come out.
Oh, 1,000,000%. I think he has everything to be a brilliant centre half.
Yeah, I think we're not writing him off. I just calling out that he wasn't good, and he won't be the last one either. By the way, that we're calling it.
People are going on about Tsimikas. I thought defensively Tsimikas was okay. Defensive wise, I think he was okay. I'm not giving Tsimikas a free pass, but I think what was going on ahead of him was ludicrous. To the point where Tsimikas looked afraid to get beyond the ball. That's for me. But again, Tsimikas is usually really physical, wants to get physically involved with players, and he just didn't look like he wanted to today. Somebody said there the midfield was the issue. The midfield was a huge issue. When you looked at it and you looked at the way we started and the way we lined up, and you have Trent Ione in there, you have got you've Endo in there who goes back, and then you have Elliott. And, Trent Ione's such a young lad, these things happen. I was expecting a lot more out of Elliott. His touch looked awful. Now, we can say about the pitch, I'll give him a little bit on the pitch. It looked a little bit fucking mad, the pitch. But really good players adapt to that, and they touched, they get a good touch in it. He gives away the penalty. I'm not blaming him in any way, but Harvey Elliott doesn't come off that pitch today. Keith saying to himself, I've done enough there to be, literally the first man off the rank on Wednesday night if we need a player on the pitch. He just doesn't.
No, he certainly doesn't. We're huge fans of Harvey Elliott.
I love him as a player,
Huge fans. We've said it consistently. There's a place for Harvey Elliott. He's done very well under Jurgen Klopp as an impact sub. He hadn't maybe featured much on that slot. He got that injury and maybe hampered his game time this season. But when you get the opportunity and you're looking in there and you're given that sort of creative license in that team today, which he had, because I know he's only a kid. Endo was in there at the start, and then it's McConnell. Two young lads in there. You have to be the one that gets on the ball and makes things happen. As Harvey Elliott, as that sort of number 10 wannabe, you have to get on the ball. And
Or
he's done
even,
this in
or
the
even make
past.
sure we don't give it away. Just keep moving it
Yeah.
and moving it and
And
moving
these
it.
are things that he's good at. These are things that he's good at. He's good at getting in there and moving the ball quick. It's one of his strengths. He's good at getting on the ball and looking at decisive passes. You know, when you said it earlier, there's about 5 forwards on. You think you'd be able to slot them in. It should be right up his wheelhouse, but it's not today. He has a bad game. It's not good for him, because similar to Kwanzaa, you said about Kwanzaa there, we don't know what Arnie Slot thinks of him. We don't know what he thinks of Harvey Elliott. Do you know what I mean? Because he hasn't, not that he hasn't used him, but he hasn't, but, you know, be that down to injury at a bad time. He looked like he was doing well in pre-season, similar to Kwanzaa. And then the boys all come back and he hasn't really used them. So it'll be difficult. It'll be interesting to see where he goes after this, because while Kwanzaa is an inexperienced player, Harvey Elliott's a young player, but he's got a bit more experience, and you would expect a lot more from him on that. Ashley is saying there, it wasn't our best game at all. We all knew that on the pitch. But I think the one thing about today, we fought to the end. We kept trying, we kept pushing.
No, I'm not. I'm not saying with regards to, you know, they fought to the end. They kept going to the end. They did keep trying. They kept pushing. I'm not arguing that at all. But when I seen that lineup, even when you go with Endo and Leone and Elliott, I was looking for Elliott to be the one to go, listen, I'm going to find these little pockets and I'm just going to pick the ball up. And I'm not asking for him to do anything special. But I promise you, if he finds little pockets and gets the ball in, 1 and 2 touch back to a full back or back into a midfielder and moves again, it stops Plymouth from setting up in a way where they go, right, we're going to stand here. They're going to give it to Diaz or Chiesa. We're going to send the winger, the midfielder, the centre midfielder, and the fullback over there to box him off. And when it gets recycled back out to Endo, eventually it was Endo and Kwanzaa, we'll just shift back to where we were and make it easy. And that's what I look for in Elliott. You know, keep the ball.
Yeah.
At all costs, keep the ball, because you kill any momentum they have. You're making them run to the point where they get to 70 and they go, we have fuck all left. You could see that even we played poorly today, and both their fullbacks were fucked after 70 minutes, and we done nothing to try to get at them. The right back was literally kicking the ball at the pitch and putting his head down as if to go, I have to run back out here now again. And it just, for me with Elliott, he got, and someone said there earlier, look, he was probably trying to look after player A or player B at right back or Naoni, and that's fine. But at times, the best way to look after these players is to go, listen, don't be afraid. I'm going to get this ball. I'm going to knock it off to you, give it back to me. But we're going to keep it. We're going to keep moving it. And even if that's across the pitch and back and into the front men and back, and you're not piercing through teams, they're having to fucking run. And it's not nice. It's simply not nice. And I don't think Elliott done that enough today. And of course, as soon as he has a bad game, people will say, well, he's not a midfielder, he can't do it. He is a midfielder. He's 100% a midfielder. Because if you put him out on the right side of midfield or right side attacker for Liverpool, the first thing you're going to get is he's not a wide forward. He doesn't have the pace.
Yeah.
So he's 100% a midfielder. Without a shadow of a doubt, he's a midfielder. He's a number 8. That's what he is. Maybe a number 10, but who plays them
Teams
anymore?
don't play 10.
And Liverpool aren't going to play Harvey Elliott off a striker in a 4-2-3-1. They just aren't. Do you know what I mean?
And if you look at who he's sort of competing with, it's Szoboszlai, and as I keep going back to it, if Szoboszlai is not having a good game with the ball, he is walking his bollocks off without the ball, and he's pressing and he's chasing and he's harrying, and you don't get that with Harvey Elliott. Now, Harvey Elliott's 21 years old, like he's 22 this season. Yeah. He's young, but I agree with you. Like he's not a forward. He's not quick enough to play in a front three, because the game is constantly changing and evolving, and no one plays 10 anymore, really.
I was expecting
he fitted in a 3-man midfield with Klopp, where you have 2 8s, but does he fit in this? I don't know. Yeah. I think he's going to struggle.
Oh, because like we get on to Kays in a minute. He doesn't have a good game, but Kays a good footballer. Yeah. He's a good brain on him. I think, but from watching him, he's a good football brain. I was expecting Elliott to go, right, listen, Leone, Endo, from the start, right? The only endo, and you have your McConnell or whatever, and you have your Simicast, and we're going to push up, and I'm going to find these little spots, and I'm going to start linking with Jota and Chiesa down this side. And what's going to happen is we're going to attract players to us, and if needs be, we can get it out into midfield and across to Diaz, and that's the way football is played. That's the way Liverpool play. It's patient, and overload, and he just never done it.
No,
He never ever done it, and I'm not taking away the fact we get onto the forwards now, but that's what I was expecting from him. Because if he comes into that team, if he comes into the starting 11, right, for a Szoboszlai or a Jones, that's what he's going to have to do a lot of. Pulling left, pulling right, finding spots. Szoboszlai does it all the time. Watch Szoboszlai with Trent and Salah. Just watch him. And the amount of times it looks like it's really controlled passing in this little triangle about 15 yards outside the opposition's box, when it's not. What it is it's just waiting for the trigger where they go, he stepped wrong, one wrong step, and I'm gone, and I'm putting Trent in or I'm putting Salah in, and he just didn't do enough of it. Up front, I think you struggle to give any of them a 5 out of 10.
Yeah,
I genuinely do, for different reasons.
Diaz,
but go on, I'll let you go off on one if you want.
Diaz probably the best of the three, but that's being generous, and that's probably only kicking him to a 5. I thought Chiesa was awful, but I thought Jota was fucking terrible as well. Like, Chiesa's getting all the stick, rightly so, but I thought Jota was fucking terrible. You done nothing. Very little influence on the game. And people can say you're not getting the service, but you have to. The thing about Diogo Jota, as Pep Linder said, and maybe he was a spoofer. He's a pressing monster, and Jota, we've seen him. He's worked really hard. Now, you caveat that and say a lot of these players have had injuries and are coming back into the team, and sometimes it can take a while. I think we saw Kanate and Bradley, for example, coming back, rushed back, and only taking a few games. Alisson taking a few games to get back to their best. Maybe it's the thing that Jota just needs a few games to get that sharpness back up. But I thought he was awful today. I thought Chiesa was awful. Chiesa was the thing you said about Harvey Elliott there.
Do you know, it's a low bar, but I thought Chiesa was the best of the three of them. And it's a really low bar. And I'll tell you what, look, I can't understand why Diaz just doesn't take that ball and shift it by a man a couple of times and just test him for pace, right? Diaz looked to me like a player that I'm here, I'm playing, but I'm not going to get involved here where I could get fucking injured, right?
Yeah.
I thought Jota looked like a player that's coming back from injury, and he looked like a player that needed minutes, and he got those minutes, but he also looked like a player that was playing with a bit of fear in, I don't want to come back here and get myself hurt. And again, I think that all comes from the manager's outlook, because the manager's not screaming and shouting on the side of the pitch going, what are you all at? He's standing there going, this is just going to continue on. Chiesa looked very kind of, duck out of water. Or fish out of water. Duck out of water. Fish out of water. But in fairness to him, he gets more involved. The more desperate Liverpool get in this game, the more he gets involved. He's on the right, he's on the left, he's swinging crosses in. Yeah. He's trying to play. He actually puts a brilliant ball into Diaz, and it's a brilliant block with the defender near the end. It was, and David says there, none of them got any service to walk off, to be fair. They both got plenty of ball.
Yeah.
And they didn't do, again, anything decisive with it. Why don't you just shove it by him? And if he gets back and he blocks it for a throw, fair enough. Blocks it for a corner, fair enough. But at least then, he, as the defender, is going, is this cunt going inside? Is he going to go outside? Is he going to play a 1-2? But all them defenders knew all night, or all morning, or all afternoon when it kicked off. Diaz is just going to continue to come inside, look to play it back to a centre midfielder, or switch it across to the right fullback. And Chiesa is going to stand on the touchline. He'll lose it an awful lot, but he's not running in behind me, so everything can play in front of us. I thought overall they were all brutal, absolutely brutal.
Yeah, they were all brutal. I think that's very fair. I think with them, like, if it's not working, they can all sort of play in other positions. Do you know what I mean? Like, change them up and switch them around. I just thought they didn't get. They had enough ball. I think Diaz and Chiesa got enough of the ball and couldn't make anything happen. And Jota didn't touch the ball much and didn't make anything happen. And yeah, you can say they're not getting the service, but they did get enough and just didn't do anything with it. Nunes, when he comes on, didn't really impact it in any positive way. And look, you won't find bigger Nunes fan than me. And, he didn't really influence because we just had no shape at that stage. And to me, it just looked like 4 or 5 bleeding dogs running around chasing their own Mickeys. There was no structure to them at all. I think collectively the attack was poor. I don't think anybody stood out. And you think Chiesa was the best of the bad bunch? I'd say, Diaz maybe, but I can see what you're saying about Chiesa because he's trying. He comes in, he plays against Accrington Stanley, and that's a League Two team, but it's at Anfield.
Yeah, but Jason Walker says Chiesa was the worst of the three. And I actually think he might have been the better of the three. There's no way he was worse than Jota.
Jota was the worst of the three by a mile.
There's no way he was worse than Jota. Yeah, Jota didn't want to jump up for headers. He didn't want to get involved in anything physical with centre-backs. I can remember Jota doing one thing in the game where we won it in midfield late enough in the game because Nunes is on. And Nunes makes this big run from right into the centre and Jota tries to put him through and the defender comes across and gets a good block on it. Other than that, I can't remember Jota in the game. Now, unless I'm losing my memory, right? But there's no way Chiesa was worse than Jota. Chiesa is trying to get crosses in. He's trying to go by people. As I said, he puts a chance on a play for Diaz, and Diaz actually, I think he mishits it, and the defender gets a good block on it. But when I'm looking at Diaz, I'm saying to myself, why don't you isolate that full back and have a go at him? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Why don't you have a go at him and just make
Robert
him think?
Robert Maguire makes a point, but that Chiesa didn't track back. That's true. Diaz tracked back and tried to get, from deeper areas. Chiesa didn't. But look, I think Chiesa is one that he's working his way in, he's easing his way in, he's learning, he's making mistakes, he's doing some good things, he's exciting fans in one game, he's probably frustrating fans in another game. And I'm not going to give him a pass on that, but I put him as the lowest sort of in terms of seniority at Liverpool, he's the lowest of them there. I expected more from the others. I expected more from Jota. I expected more from Diaz. With Chiesa, you probably got, we don't see him as a workhorse coming back, even though he's done bits and pieces of him in his cameos, but you don't think of him like that. So, I don't know. I just thought it was so fucking bad, so poor. As you say, giving a 4 or 5 would be generous.
Yeah. Avo says Jota got the armband and was more like Harry Potter's cloak of invisibility. He disappeared straight after.
That armband was a bleeding jinx today, wasn't it?
Yeah. Willem says Chiesa was shockingly bad. I'm not saying Chiesa was good. Yeah. I'm not saying he was good. But when I look at right, I'll tell you what. If you're looking at them three today and you're going, Chiesa was by far the worst, Jesus, I have to strongly disagree with you. I really, really do. Kev wants Chiesa sold in the summer, waste of a wage. It's funny though because 2 weeks ago it was, but 2 weeks ago everyone was like, Chiesa could be big for us in this run-in. There's a player in there. There's a player in there. You look at him against this. Look at him against that. There's a player in there. He'll have big moments. He could have big moments. He has a shocker today. We're along with about another 7 lads, and we're selling half them now. But I still think I'm not letting any of them off. But I still think you have to look at the manager, and I'm not saying the manager has to learn. He's not an idiot, And loads of managers do this. It's not like learning about England. It's not that at all. There's managers that have been in jobs for fucking 4 and 5 years in England and they go out and do exactly what he done today, and they don't go learning and thing. They just turn around and go, but that's what happens.
He didn't pick a bench today that screamed that he was too concerned to win this game. Do you know what I mean? So it was like, let's get this game out of the way, see what happens. And people will say that's a mistake, and people will say, well, fuck it, as you said at the start, if they win on Wednesday, couldn't give two shits what happens against Plymouth.
Owen reckons, sorry, it's gone there. Oh, there it is. Kie's problem is he will get very few minutes between now and the end of the season. This is, when it goes back to Kwanzaa and others, to be fair, and I think Slot tries to, when they're winning games, I do think he tries to bring on players and give them minutes and stuff like that, but you're not entitled to them. At the end of the day, if that starting 11's going out and doing the business for you, you have to break your bollocks to try to get into this team. If you're not going to break your bollocks to try to get into this team, you know what I mean? You're not going to get into it.
Simple as.
The 7-inch destroyer, what a name, with a super chat says, I blame the players, not Slot. They're embarrassing. Yeah, they weren't great today, but I do think part of it is down to the approach with regards to the team you pick, positions you put somebody in, and then the subs you make, and just your general appearance on the sideline, which was one of what will be. And that's the way he looked to me. That's all. You know, I could be wrong. I could be absolutely wrong. He could be absolutely fuming, but I get the suspicion. I have a little suspicion he's not. That brings us on before we go, because I did say we're finishing by 11, and I am finishing by 11. Keith.
I was looking at that and I was thinking, is 11 o'clock has gone out the window here?
No, 7 minutes, loads of time. That brings us on to the reason and possibly behind what he's done today with regards to lineup and stuff is the league. I mentioned it earlier, Everton, Wolves, Villa, City, Newcastle. That brings us up to the end of February. That Villa game is obviously added in. I think that was meant to be sometime in March, but
yeah,
these are the priorities, Keith. Yeah. And I don't think you can look forward to this game on Wednesday and using today as a yardstick as, we were fucking terrible on Saturday. What about Wednesday? It's a completely different game. Everton were apparently well beaten by Bournemouth yesterday, 2-0 at home, which was a very strong Everton side. I was very surprised by.
I didn't see it. Was it?
I'll tell you now what the team was, because I was actually amazed at the team he put out. But then again, he probably feels safe enough in the Premier League, so he kind of went along with it.
Yeah.
But his lineup yesterday was Pickford in goal, O'Brien, Tarkowski, Brantwaite, Young, which is probably one change. Mikalenko usually plays there. Yeah. He'd Garner and Idris Gay in midfield. Garner's coming back from injury, fair enough. Lindstrom, who's played a lot. Decore, who's played a lot. And Dye, who's been probably the best player. And Beto, off the bench, he brings on new signing Alcaraz, Harrison, and
Erdogan.
What?
Did they make a signing?
Yeah, your man Alcaraz, that was at Southampton. Went back to Brazil and now he's with them. And Michael Keane. The ones that didn't come off the bench, young lads, and the rest are all injured. But I said it on Thursday. I said it before Thursday. You go strong against Spurs. You pick whatever you like against Plymouth and see how it goes. And you get into Everton on Wednesday. And Everton players have played another game there. They've played a proper game there yesterday. Our players haven't. We go in there. It's a huge 5 games coming up, Keith. It's season defining, Premier League wise. It's absolutely season defining. And the only thing that makes me kind of not happy this evening, but a little bit content is I know our players have played a big game on Thursday. They've got a rest and they're going into another big one. And they've set them. I just think it's set up nicely for them to go in there now and go, right, here we go. Everton, Wolves, Villa, City, Newcastle. We're doing all these in a row. We're not going to make loads of changes. There's 4 days between most of them. And away we go, because I think the league really starts for me on Wednesday night against Everton. Really, really starts on Wednesday.
Yeah, it does. And we have to look at it like that. We have to look and say, you know, this is, as you said, if we win them games, the majority of them games, and we come out of that period and we've still got a substantial lead in the title race, that's the main thing. That is the bread and butter. Give me the league title over anything else here, so let's focus on that. You're right, not one of them will play, I'd imagine, on Wednesday night. I think maybe Núñez might be the only one that starts, or Diaz, one of them. One of them, I think, starts in centre forward. But we're going to have a new team there. We're going to have a team that are going to be focused, they're going to be fresh, and they're going to be fit. We have players that can win the game, and we've got lads we spoke about like Dominic Szoboszlai, like Ryan Gravenberch, like Alexis McAllister. They're starting to pour as a midfield 3. I think we'll have too much for Everton, hopefully. Famous last words and all that shit can come back and haunt you. But I just see Liverpool, and it's key that we get off to a start against Everton and get the 3 points in that game. And that sets us up for the next. I mean, there's tricky games in there. Fulham away won't be easy. Do you know what I mean?
No, there's no straightforward games left in the Premier League this season. It's as simple as that. Maybe
Oh, we're
Southampton at
not
home.
playing Fulham. When the fuck do we play Fulham? That's not for a while. That's after
Yeah,
the
that's
next Everton game.
mid-March,
I'm
I
looking
think.
at the wrong Everton game. Villa, right, we look at the games and Everton away. Right, let's go out and see we get the win there. Wolves at home, you'd expect to win. Villa away. Villa aren't the team they were maybe before, but
Well,
they've a
let me
trick
just
to
tell you,
away.
Villa drew 2-2 at Arsenal, lost 1-0 away to Monaco, drew 1-1 at home to West Ham, beat Celtic 4-2, 2-0 up, 2-0. They lost away 2-0 to Wolves, and they beat Spurs today. Villa aren't in great form, and I listened to the Villa podcast, and what they've been
Yeah,
saying for a long while is that they're there to be got at.
yeah.
They're there to be got at. They give up chances. They do silly things in games. It's Villa away. It's City away. City have to go to Real Madrid, I think, before we play them. And then you have Newcastle at home, which traditionally we beat Newcastle at home. You know, the sort of way. But
Newcastle
they're
are a
another good side. But
they're in good form. They're happy. You know, they're in the league. They're in a cup final. They'll be buzzing. But I agree with you. If that was the opposite fit, if that was a St James's Park fixture, you'd be like, maybe not. But Anfield, you would expect.
well, real talk
Liverpool
says Villa are bouncing. Villa aren't bouncing.
bouncing
They've
where?
beaten in the last. Hold on a minute. In the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, they've beaten. They've drew at Arsenal, fair enough. They've lost away to Monaco, right? They've drew at home at West Ham, right? They've beaten a Celtic side. They've lost at home away to Wolves, who I think are 17th or 18th in the division. And they've beaten a Spurs side that are all over the fucking place today, 2-1. They're not bouncing. They're in okay form. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And I think they're struggling They're struggling a little bit defensively. Of course, they've lost that striker. Did they bring in Asensio in the end?
They brought in Asensio, yeah.
Did they? Did they get him?
Asensio and Rashford, yeah. On loan, and
there you go.
Well, say bring in someone else.
It's just a big. I don't want to go through every game one by one. It's just
it's a big period. Like
if you're setting what I'm saying is when you're setting yourself up for this big run, something usually has to sacrifice itself, and today was it. You know, not letting the people off that played, but today was it. You know, Consa got injured today as well, says Jason Walker. 11 points from 15 minimum, says Brian. You know, this is what the leagues are about. You know, I haven't looked at Arsenal's fixtures in that time. I think I can't remember who they used to play. But Liverpool just have to look after themselves. Start with Wednesday night, because at the end of the day, Arsenal have 4 games in that time. If we win on Wednesday, we're 9 points clear going into those 4 games before the end of February. And if Liverpool come out there with 10 points, you're looking at least being 7 clear. With, would it be 10 games to go? Yeah.
I mean, Arsenal are away to Leicester, they're home to West Ham, away to Forest, away to United, and home to Chelsea.
Is that there for?
That's their next 5, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just, I'm really looking forward to Wednesday now. Somebody says there earlier, Everton are going to steam into there. Jared, I put it on screen. He said Everton will be steaming into us. We need a decent ref for this one. They're hard to find. I'm going to be honest.
We've got Mike Oliver, so
yeah, we probably have David Cute. But the thing for me on Wednesday is, just before we go, because we were a minute over now, Keith. You know what I mean? Pricks we are.
Yeah.
But the thing for me on Wednesday is, you've primed yourself now to go. You know what I mean? You've put yourself in the League Cup final. You've given them the rest. You've primed them, ready to go now and say, right, we're going to send a message out on Wednesday here. We're going to go into these 4 big games, then afterwards we're going to take as many points as we possibly can, see where we stand. But it just, when it comes to Wednesday, don't be worrying about the old lady and fucking Everton and this and that. Yeah, they might come out, but they're not good. Yeah. Right? So stand up physically. If you stand up physically to this, because that's what they're going to look to do. They're going to look to the likes of the Corey, Beto, you know, Tarkowski, you know, all these groks, right? Stand up physically and then get the ball down. And get the ball down and play, and I promise you, you'll beat Everton. Because they're not good. They're just not good. And my only worry is that Liverpool go out and carry on the way they did against Manchester United, where they let the emotion of the game dictate as to what way it was going, and slow everything down and everything else. Go out and play your game. Go out and do what you done to Tottenham. Go into Goodison Park and go, we're going to do what we done to Tottenham. We're not going to give you a minute. We're going to pen you in. We're going to fly at you. And let's see how we go. That's what they need to do on Wednesday. Can't wait for it, can you? That's what it's
No,
all
I can't.
about.
Yeah, exactly. This is, you know, let's see where we, as you say, let's get these games done. This is it, derby game. People are looking at it. There's pressure on it. Let's see these lads stand up, because this Liverpool team have faced adversity this season and have come through it. They've lost games, yeah, but in the grand scheme of things, they've lost a lot of the games that didn't really matter. First leg against Spurs, hopped off them. Second leg, last game against PSV, still top the Champions League table, and then beaten by Plymouth today. No one likes to lose against a lower league team, whether it be Championship or whatever, but it's how we react. So let's react. Let's get these lads out there. Let's react. Let's look at Virgil and Kanate. Let's look at McAllister, Gravenberg. These lads that'll come into the team. Let's see Mo Salah. I was going to say in his last ever derby, but I forgot we have to play these twice. But let's see Mo Salah going out there and sticking it to Everton. Let's see, Cody Gakpo in a rich vein of form. We've got players that are match winners that weren't involved today, that come into that team. We can't look at today and Wednesday anyway as a connecting thing. Let's just get in there, put a rocket up the fringes that didn't do it today, all right, and see if they can come in and stand up and be counted. But let's see the boys on Wednesday and hopefully go through Everton. Yeah. And if we beat Everton, it sets us up, and also it's another paper cut into the challenge of Arsenal in their death by a thousand paper cut. So let's just get it done.
Yep, let's go and start on Wednesday and start as we mean to go on. With regards to the rest of the week, we'll be back tomorrow. We'll be back tomorrow night. We'll probably do the preview of Everton tomorrow night. We'll be there on Tuesday. We'll have a reaction on Wednesday. We'll have something Thursday night for you. We'll have something Friday night for you. We'll definitely be on Saturday, and we'll be back next Sunday as well. In between all them shows, I'm not saying all them shows will be free to watch for everybody, but on top of the shows we're going to do, we will have some member shows which have been bananas in the last week or so, like just fucking bananas. But there's a bit of football in there, but most of it is dictated by the members as to what they want to talk about when we come on. That's the way we've set it up. We come on at a time that's given to the members. We come in and we go, right, what are we talking about? Could be football, it could be anything, and that's the way they like it. So that's the way we're going to keep going for the moment. When's the room? When's the next room 101? I've got some corkers, says Davey T. I'll let you know. We do a few of them on the member side of things, but yeah, we're bringing you as many shows as we possibly can in February. So there you go. Keith, anything else before we go?
No, enjoyed that. I always like coming on doing a show after we lose. It's soothing for the soul.
Is it?
This was no different. Yeah, it's good to talk about these, and not in a reactionary way. The dust is settled. A few hours passed. It's not that important. Let's just all go on and have a little chat about it.
Yeah, right. I have nothing else either. We will talk to you tomorrow at some stage.
Are you staying up for the Super Bowl?
No.
Fuck it.
No.
Stupid sport.
No, I don't think I will. We will be back with you tomorrow, possibly on multiple occasions tomorrow, and multiple occasions every day for the whole week. But thanks a million for watching. Hit the like, subscribe, comment now before we get off, or in the comments afterwards. You can watch us on Spotify now as well as listen to us. You can get us anywhere you want with regards to your audio downloads as well. And if you want to become a member, give it a bang. $3.99 a month. Try it once. And if the madness doesn't grab you and you end up talking about biscuits fucking for 5 hours, 7 days of the week, well, then it's not for you. But if you think that might be $3.99 a month, give it a go. Talk to you in a bit. Over and out.